Your favourite Gimp back here with another video. I've just moved out of my parents' house in the last month and I've had no Wi-Fi, resorting to me going through my DVD collection. So I've decided to visit one of the most groundbreaking spaghetti western trilogies of all time, the Dollar Trilogy, directed by Sergio Leone and primarily starring the most badass actor on screen ever, the man, the myth, the legend, Clint Eastwood. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and to also check out the podcast, the Shotcast, on Spotify, YouTube and YouTube Music. We'll be starting off the trilogy with, of course, the first film, A Fistful of Dollars, released in 1964 under the United Artists Corporation and widely perceived as the start of the spaghetti western genre, showing how Italians can make American movies better than themselves. From the beautifully heartbreaking soundtrack to the attention-grabbing performances, and there is enough action to keep your sleepy granddad awake on a Sunday afternoon. This is a true western with a basic setup and plot, and it is perfectly executed and honestly holds up better than most of the shite being rolled out of Hollywood and onto our screens today. You never question for a second that this isn't a glimpse into the brutal time in history. This film is set in the late 1800s and is about the stone-cold man with no name, played by Clint motherfucking Eastwood. He is the embodiment of badassery, American ideals, and the true action heroism. Cold-hearted and brutal, the man with no name is surprisingly clever, quick-witted, and
very touching.
You mean you don't admire peace?
It's not really easy to like something you know nothing about.
Stay in San Miguel and you may just profit from the experience.
No thanks. I'll be moving on.
and one hell of a gunslinger. He wanders into the desert town of San Miguel looking for work. He is picked on by a gang and quickly learns that the town is run by two rival families, the Rojos and the Baxters. The Rojos being Mexicans and the Baxters being Americans. This is mirroring the tension and the conflict over the control at this time, especially this close to the American-Mexican border. What makes Sergio Leone's film so perfect is the brutality. He captures the rawness of the American frontier better than any fucking American movie has ever done before this. In this film, it opens with Clint arriving at some houses in the desert, witnessing a gang shooting at a child. He shies away and doesn't really bother. It's got nothing to do with him. Once Clint has made it into town, he befriends local bar owner Salvanito, who explains the complex conflict between the families and the effect it has on the town. We are also introduced to what I think is quite an important side character, the coffin maker Pino, who has already eyed up Clint for a coffin and is a physical representation of how fast life moved in the West. Like a man on his first day of prison, he decides to attack some of Bax's men after leaving the bar, taking a side and starting the end of the war. Clint goes for some revenge on the men that picked on him when he arrived. Walking past Pino,
Get 3 coffins ready.
Huh?
My mistake. 4 coffins.
the iconic Western music picks up every time Clint has a triumphing moment, very similar to True Romance from 1992. Every time something good happens to the main character or the plot develops, we hear the similar piece of music, telling us he is being successful and there may be hope in his goals. The leader of the Rojos invites Clint to their hideout and offers him money to work for them after he quickly dispatched some of the rivals' men. While at the Rojos' hideout, we see a set of medieval armor that Raymond Rojo, the oldest brother, shoots at, showcasing his skills that can match the man with no names. The armor is also a foreshadow to Clint's ingenious strategy at the end of the movie to create bulletproof armor out of an old minecart. They try to make Clint live with them as he's now working for them, but he refuses and ends up staying with his friend, the bartender Silvanito. One morning, the Mexican army rolls into town. They are very protective of one of their carriages many believe has gold inside. The Mexican army and the US have an arms deal, but it goes wrong, with the US actually being the Rojos and end up mowing down the entire platoon of Mexicans with a Gatling gun as Clint and Salvanito watch from a distance. Clint now sees an opportunity and decides to play both sides, turning the family wars to a dramatic conclusion. With Clint only in it for himself, Clint wants the gold. The Rojos decide to have a dinner party to try and end the war with the Baxters. Clint feels he should probably go, as the Baxters have 4 men in the ground because of him. Late at night, Clint and Silvanito Clint and Silvanito take 2 of the Mexican corpses and take them to a graveyard and set them up next to a grave. He then gives both families a tip about the other family going for the gold at the graveyard. The families take the bait and he gets $500 out of each of them. There is a gunfight and each family takes a prisoner, adding to the tension. While they are gone, he seizes the moment and tries to find out where the gold is, which he does. However, he bumps into a frightened woman. She faints, so he takes her to the Baxter's house. The Rojos have a Baxter's son, and the Baxters have Marisol. The next day, a prisoner swap is arranged in the middle of the town. After orchestrating the whole thing, Clint watches calmly from a distance. Everything is going smoothly until a child comes out screaming for his mother and running to Marisol. As his genius plot develops, he learns that the woman called Marisol being held hostage by the Rojos is actually being used as a wife/sex slave for the oldest brother, Raymond Rojo. Marisol is escorted to a small house just outside of town. Now, I don't know how or why, but her exiled husband and child appear to live opposite her. Clint realizes how he has made a huge mistake in an effort for his selfish personal gains. The first fucking non-selfish act of the film is him deciding to right this horrific wrong. Ramon says he's leaving for a couple of days.
Enjoy yourselves during my absence.
Clint sees his chance to rescue her. While they are at a party, Clint pretends to get drunk and is carried to his room by some of the gang members. Naturally, the Rojos are fucking suspicious of Clint and his intentions. He makes his way to the small house where Marisol is being guarded by 5 of Rojo's men. Clint knows where the house is because it is the house at the beginning of the movie where the kid is getting shot at. Clint quickly guns down 4 of them before throwing a machete into the last guy and burning the place down. Heroically, he reunites Marisol with Julio and their son Jesus, giving them money and pointing them in the direction of the border. It is a beautiful moment that the selfish stranger has now become the hero. We see the rare humanity of the man with no name. He doesn't want to thank you, he just wants to do what is right. There is a line Clint says.
Why do you do this for us?
Why? I knew someone like you once. There was no one there to help. Now get moving. Get moving. Get out of here!
This is a great insight into the character's motivations and past. The only piece of evidence of a life before the events of the movie, Clint loves someone once, and so he wants to be the guardian angel for this family that he has put into this position. Avoiding getting caught on his way back, he creeps back into his room, but Ramon and his men are waiting for him there. Naturally, he is tortured, beaten for information on where Marisol has gone, but he won't talk. Another heroic act. Even though earlier I'd mentioned how brutal this film is, this is the least bloodthirsty out of the 3 in the trilogy. It may have something to do with budget, the era, or maybe it's just a lack of filmmaking experience, but you still feel the impact of every punch and every bullet. After surprise attacking a couple of gang members by rolling big wooden barrels onto them, he manages to escape. The Rojos attack the Baxter's house in an aggressive assault, setting their house on fire and violently gunning down any survivors as they pile out of the house. The horrific screams of the hopeless Baxters as they are all murdered rings through the town's streets. I love seeing real fire on sets and real actors struggling to act due to it. Clint watches from a coffin on the back of Pino's wagon in an attempt to escape. I thought it was interesting he is in a coffin like he has died and is witnessing the events from the afterlife, especially how he's resurrected at the end of the movie to take out his revenge. After escaping with the help of Pino, Clint is taking refuge in a nearby mine shaft. Injured and desperate to get back into the fight, he is practicing his sharpshooting skills by shooting a local minecart. Realizing that the bullets aren't going through it, Clint gets the ingenious idea to craft a makeshift chest plate out of it. While cutting out a chest plate, Pino comes and visits Clint in the cave to inform him that Silvanito has been captured by the Rojos while on his way to the cave this morning. He is being tortured, but Pino ensures Clint that Silvanito will not give Clint's location to Ramon. Pino gets back Clint's gun and belt, also giving him a stick of dynamite he stole from the Rojos. Ramon is hanging Silvanito in the town square as Esteban Rojo goes to whip the defense of Silvanito. A huge explosion goes off towards the Baxter's house. A huge cloud of smoke fills the streets of San Miguel, and the beautiful trumpet soundtrack is building up as the smoke clears to reveal the man with no name is standing on the other side of the street. The Rojos are speechless. Before lining up and with their guns they shoot Clint down, but again and again, much to their shock, he keeps getting up. And again he gets closer and closer. Probably the most famous scene of the movie. We've all seen Biff watch it in Back to the Future 2, and Marty McFly mimics this move in the 3rd film. Once Clint is close enough, he reveals his hidden chest plate, and before the Rojos can do anything, he shoots Raymond's gun out of his hand and shoots the other 4 men dead. Challenging Ramon to pick up his gun, the two can finally decide which is better, a man with a .45 or the man with a rifle. Clint obviously fucks him up, but as Clint walks over to finish him, a double-barrel shotgun pokes out of a nearby window pointing at Clint. Clint quickly turns around, shooting Esteban Rojo, who falls out of a window and dies. Saving Silvanito, the two are finally reunited, and Clint explains that he can't stick around because the US government and the Mexican government will be on their way shortly, and he doesn't want to get caught in the middle, so they say their goodbyes and he leaves the town. Clint is once again the wandering man with no name, as he will always be. Pino is already seen measuring the Rojos in the coffin as the camera zooms out and the credits roll. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Tell your friends about this channel, and next week we'll be looking at the equally awesome, if not even better, second film in the trilogy for a few dollars more. Thank you and good night.